Croeso I sianel Blaid Llwyd. Yes, as promised, we're back at Hammond Manor to see what's going on in Password. I would have done this last night, but I'm still recovering from a cold, so I decided to give my voice a day or so more to recover, so we can get this done today. And as always when I'm doing these videos, I'd like to say thanks to all my patrons and donors on Ko-fi. It's very much appreciated, especially in these times where things are getting very pricey. And my top patrons are Burnt Toast, Kartek, Cobus Visser, Besuksu, Lark Huskerton, Bastion, Brian Hall, Tiger Cub, Ida Corval, Anubis Silverwind, Dissonance, Spiderling, Kopi, Sindri Dragonwolf, Marcus, Levin King, Monolay, Exac, Dumbistachio, Aaron Fox, and Grizz, who of course is responsible for writing and illustrating Password. And what some of you may not be aware is that Civ Valiant does a lot of the music here in Password, and Civ was responsible for the opening music you just heard on the channel. So if you ever want to know who wrote that, it's Civ. Did a great job with it. Okay, well that's the credits out the way. The old-fashioned movie, you do all the credits first, then you just have at the end, rather than 8 minutes of small credits at the end where everyone walks out and no one pays attention. So, that's it. Credits done. Let's start the story. Time continued to pass long into the night. At the point I could hear someone turning in and entering the adjoining room where the beds were. I wasn't so concerned for what was going to happen to me or when someone would be back to collect me. I might have registered the grumbling in my stomach as hunger. Trembling in the draftiness of the room, I wondered if I was going to catch a cold. Which, given everything else going on, would have been a lot less dire than end up dead or otherwise. I must have been fading in and out of consciousness too, so at some point I could have sworn I saw Dominic standing in the room with me, his dark fur blending in with the shadows. It wasn't until he spoke that I realised I wasn't hallucinating and I found myself a lot more awake. The boss is asleep. Oh, okay. He sat down, breathing out. Jack has gone for a walk too. My lack of response caused him to sit there staring at me for a few moments before he spoke again. Hungry? Why hasn't Oswin come back yet? How long has it been? That wasn't what I asked. I shrank back into the corner and again he shook his head. But hours. So are you hungry or not? A little, maybe? He pulled out some jerky from his back pocket and threw it to me, landing in front of me on the floor. Eat this then. Why are you feeding me? If you're worried about it being drugged or something, don't. It's just dried meat. Carefully I picked up the scrap of meat off the floor and dusted it off. Even by jerky standards it was dry, almost completely flavourless too. I'm going to get you a blanket. Why? The question made him pause, tilting his head slightly. Because you're going to get cold otherwise. Well, yeah, but... This isn't me feeling sorry for you or trying to make up for what the boss did. You're just more valuable to us alive. And cowered, and immediately seemed to ease off with a sigh. Oh, the boss changed his mind like that, though. Oswin wasn't too pleased with the change of plan. You kept your end of the bargain? Oswin knows the way off the mountain? Sure does. Almost went off on a run once he knew how to get back to the house. That's good, right? Who knows? He shrugged and left, leaving me alone to chew on what little rations I'd been given. I heard him moving about in the other room, even quietly, though he didn't return right away. What I heard instead was someone entering the house, which I assumed was Jack. There was a hushed conversation soon after before I heard footsteps coming towards the door. Sure enough, it was Dominic, with a blanket. Oh, much like the jerky, he threw it towards me rather than hand it over. Thanks. Did Jack just get back? He did. You don't seem too pleased about that. There was the look he gave me. He wasn't frustrated or annoyed like he seemed to be when he entered, but something more subtle, as if he was weighing up just how much to tell me. Oh, Jack's walk went well. He's called off. From what? He didn't like that I got to do everything, even after the boss said he could come show Oswin the way off the mountain. I did notice that he stayed. Why? Want to ask him yourself? I quickly shook my head and Dom chuckled quietly. Well, he and I are going to spend some time together before we turn in. You best get some sleep. Doing what? Huh? Some time together doing what? None of your business. Can I ask a different question then? No. Please? What do you want? You said you liked easy jobs, right? Yup. You went to move and I quickly realised that was a question already. Wait, that wasn't my question. If you like easy jobs, then wouldn't it be better if Orlando took over from his dad? Then the jobs would be really easy. They'd be different jobs then. But they'd be easy. Hey, what's taking so long? Jack stuck his head in the door before stepping into the room and closing the door behind him. The kid had questions. Seriously? You're blowing me off for Dave? I'm not blowing you off for anyone, alright? What? No, nothing. Sorry. Not getting any ideas, are we, Dave? Don't try and take my buddy away from me. Oh, no. I already have a boyfriend. Boyfriend? Dom and Jack looked towards one another, almost having a whole conversation with her with looks and slight motions of their head. Just get some sleep, Dave. If anyone comes to grab you, you'll know. Jack was snickering to himself the whole time they exited the room, their sounds becoming muffled the moment the door closed. Using the blanket, I tried to get comfortable. The cold floor wasn't magically solved with a thin sheet, though it was better than nothing. Though better than nothing didn't mean much when I was still cold, and the dust in the cabin was clogging my nose and throat. If anything, the sheet made a better mask than something to keep me warm. I passed the time just listening. Hearing Jack and Dom have a hushed conversation about something before one of them heading outside. Then they swapped and went back to the conversation. My mind drifted over to Memphis in the room opposite, wondering what kind of man could sleep so soundly while doing so much damage. This is what my dad became a police officer for, to make the world safe from people like him. Though given how things ended up, a part of me died inside knowing the bad guys won that fight. Maybe they'd win the next one, and the next one too. At some point maybe the good guys would win. Or it seemed likely the longer I lay there waiting for someone to come and get me. Eventually, though, I did pass out, the exhaustion of the walk finally making me succumb. When I opened my eyes, I was still in the cabin. Part of me wondered if this was some sort of Thanatos-induced dream, but the numbness in my fingers told me it wasn't. My body felt like ice. Part of me sore and stiff from how uncomfortable the floor had been. I wanted to get up and found the rattling of the chain attached to my foot made wandering anywhere pointless. Pulling out the photo from my pocket, I flipped it over to its backside. Though the message wasn't for me, I tried to pretend it was and take what comfort I could in it. Is it worth trying to escape? Immediately I thought to Jack and how he was able to chase me down. Kinda meant just running for it was a bad idea. Not to mention anything else to agitate Memphis, or Dominic would likely end up with me more injured than what I was now. So I waited, wondering when I would see someone again given how quiet the cabin was. Though it didn't take long, the sound of a roar like yawn signalled at least someone was awake. I listened to them heavily walk out of the room opposite and down the hall. I could smell something burning for I picked up the scent of coffee. Or maybe not coffee, but something similar anyway. Then those same footsteps wandered back towards my room, stopping just on the outside of the door. Were they looking at my door or into the other room? Get up! Memphis talking to the others likely, especially given how he growled out the command, and soon after I heard more footsteps moving around. Good morning, Dave. The sing-song voice he used once he'd entered the room made me uneasy, though the tiredness was making it funnily easier to cope. Past Jack, I could see a red tail disappear out of sight, but little else. Did you sleep all right? Not really. Oh, good. He wandered closely and did something to where the chain connected to the wall. Time to go outside. Someone's here for me, really? No. Then why are we going outside? Well, that's easy enough. Figured you might like some fresh air, and to be honest, the boss wants to talk a few things over privately. So you're just leaving me outside? Yep, pretty much. Jack grabbed the chain and started walking out of the room. I had to scramble to not have my feet pulled from under me. As we passed the main room, it looked like Memphis was eating something wrapped in foil, tinkering with his gun. No sign of Dominic, though. Not that it changed much as Jack led me outside all the same and over to one of the many trees surrounding us. In a flash, he had the chain looped around the tree and locked, before turning around and heading inside. No breakfast and no coffee for me, it seemed, though being outside was nicer than the dusty room, even with the chill of the morning air. I sat down and hugged my legs, trying to get warm. The idea of getting a shower was something I took comfort in, relishing my memories of hot water and lightly scented soap. Then there was the prospect of a fresh change of clothes, so many things I took for granted, but here I was just without them. At some point I heard them talking again. Nothing distinguishable, but the three of them were talking over something that had Memphis upset. Jack said little and Dom did most of the talking, until the conversation went south and Jack started the talk. The door opened and Dom stepped out, dropping down to the wooden bench just outside the front door. He looked at me carefully, almost suspicious, then went to look around the woods as he sat there instead. Again my stomach rumbled, but even then I wasn't hungry. At the base of the tree, small mushrooms were growing. I wasn't as good as foraging as Dean, but I figured I'd check them out given they'd look familiar. These, I quickly pulled my hand away. Jack-o'-lanterns. Poisonous. Not that I was desperate enough to eat random mushrooms growing in the forest just yet. Remembering what Dean had taught me made me smile. I wondered what sort of things we'd do together once I made it back to the group. I missed him already. Are my friends off the mountain yet? Have they made it somewhere safe so they could call for help or not? I sure hope so. You're acting quiet. I almost jumped as I noticed Dom standing in front of me. I'm trying to get away, call for help. You do like making this an easy job. What's the point? If I yell, no one's around. If I run, Jack would catch me, even without this chain keeping me here. You got that right. So, yeah, it's just a waiting game, really. I would admit, I wonder what's keeping Osborne from coming back. Seemed pretty keen on returning. He'll come back, right? He wouldn't have just... I couldn't finish the thought, though Dom knew how it ended. That's possible. Wouldn't blame him. Don't you know if they've left already? He shrugged, offering nothing. Where is the exit anyway? Thinking of making a break for it anyway? Like you'd let that happen? He laughed, nodding slowly. Right about that one. But boss has said not to say a word about it. Oh, yeah. I guess that makes sense. Sure. You don't have to be sitting there, you know. Might be a good time to stretch your legs as much as you can. Because? You're going back into that room after Jack and the boss have finished going at one another. They're fighting? Only a little. What about? Work things. What kind of work things? He got up, shaking his head. Giving me one more look before he wandered inside. The moment he got into, though, the raised voices stopped and they resumed as they were when I was put outside. Made me feel more like a pet than anything else. Not a well looked after one, but chained to the tree like, well, the obvious. After walking around and looking at anything vaguely interesting within the bounds of my chain, I sat back down as I was to continue waiting. An hour or two might have passed before anyone left the cabin. I looked up the moment I heard the door open. Had fun outside? He didn't wait for my answer, already taking up the chain once more and starting to lead me inside. Don't want to know one's come for you, huh? Think they already left? Boss seems to think so. I kept quiet, not wanting to think about or acknowledge what might be the truth. My friends wouldn't just let Oswin abandon me, would they? Or did they think I was dead? Not happy about it at all, either. Right back into the room I was contained to, chained to the wall, I resumed my listening of what was going on. I just had to have faith that they hadn't left me behind and something else was holding them up. I don't care. Memphis suddenly yelling roused me from my thoughts, and I tried to hone in on exactly what he's yelling about. So what, you're just going to wait for him at the spot? I don't think much of a difference. They'd already left. Well, the kid, though, brutal. I heard something get slammed into the wall and break violently. Another hour. If in another hour we haven't heard anything, we'll get going. I heard footsteps getting close, and I backed up against the wall and tried to make myself look small. Where are you going? Why, Dave knows what's going to happen, obviously. The light in his tone made me think of what his face looked like. That crooked, self-satisfied smile that he wore when he's taken some delight in something bad happening. Sure enough, it's what I thought. The moment he walked in the door, I wondered what he was up to. How do you feel about going for a walk? When I didn't respond, he got agitated. Ask you a question. What if someone comes looking for me? Oh, well, they must not think the highly of you, all things considered. Oswald returned last night. They had the night to sleep it off and then come and grab you. So chances are you've just been left behind. But that's just how it is, Dave. Now sit tight. Maybe you'll be lucky and someone will come. Otherwise... He snickered as he left, disappearing behind the closed door. So I waited, wondering how long it'd take for the hour to be up. I had no way to track the time anymore, so all it came down to was just waiting. Always waiting. People kept leaving the cabin and coming back, doing who knows what. Maybe taking it in turns to keep a watch, or maybe they're up to something else. I have no idea. Still, as bad as it was, I was getting numb to the fear of it all. Maybe I just wanted it to be over. Maybe just the long stretches of nothing happening or lack of violence directed my way. A swift kick in my side made me jump. I hadn't realised I'd zoned out. The way he looked at me gave me nothing to work with. Maybe he was annoyed, maybe disgusted, maybe bored. I really couldn't tell. Get him ready. Dom stepped up and started unhooking the chain from the wall while dragging to my feet by the arm. Time to have a little walk. Jack stepped up to stand beside Dom as he continued to hold on to my arm. And with a swift punch to the guts I was winded, doubled over and hoisted over Dom's shoulder. We left the cabin. Memphis was leading the others somewhere. I was just along for the ride. As my vision returned proper, I noticed Jack watching me carefully as he pulled up the rear. He said nothing and offered nothing back, figuring it was best to avoid unnecessary noise. Besides, the unhappier he was, the less safe I felt, which already wasn't really safe. We walked through the woods for a while, long enough that I didn't know how long we'd been walking, but sure enough a familiar scene came into view. The watermill. They went inside and I started to worry. More so when I noticed the grin Jack seemed to be wearing. Why did we come here of all places? It smelled dark and damp. I could smell the rust and rotting wood along with the harsh scent of metal. Go find and spot the kid. I'm going to make a run for supplies. Memphis split off while Dom continued on deeper into the mill. Down we went, down to where I'd originally found myself exploring when I'd been avoiding Jack the first time we'd met. Here works. You sure? What's wrong with it? Jack looked at me, then back at Dom. Just here, really? Dom started showing me to something in the corner, a pipe or something that looked like it, a few bits of rust here and there. Well, it's out of the way and he's not going to go anywhere without one of us letting him go. Well, he's not, though. I can stay out of the way. My comment went ignored. Dom rolling his eyes, he turned to Jack and roughly patted him on the head. Do you want to take it up with the boss? Listen to me, Dom. You know what this place is. I know what this place is. So does the boss. Do you want to risk Dave figuring it out? Figuring what out? Dom looked at me, gave me a once-over, locking his gaze with mine. Well, the mountains through here. Pretty deep, you'll need to go through here. What are you doing? What's he going to do about it? Relax a little. You're not going anywhere, are you, Dave? I quickly shook my head, answering anything but seemed silly. And go relax. Do what you want. He started to wander off. Jack caught me and gesturing at me and trying to get his attention all while trying to find the words. All that thought, Dave. He went after Dom. I could see he pulled a knife from somewhere as he rounded the corner and out of sight. Rather than sit down, I figured I'd stand for a bit. The dirt and grime was a different sort than in the cabin, and I wanted to stay as clean as possible. It was silly and I knew it, but I valued being clean. I valued what it meant to be able to freely take a shower, and right now I just didn't know when I'd be able to again. I could hear them scuffle about. Even armed with a knife, there wasn't panicked yelling, growling, or even a sign out them were injured. If anything, the sound of amused laughter threw me as it sounded closer than playing. Yeah, it was stale and I missed my friends. I missed being outside, even in that drafty room in the cabin. Even with the hooks nearby, at least the air was fresh. A few minutes passed and I heard footsteps again and craned my neck to see where they were coming from, though the way the things echoed made it hard. Or close to impossible, as I didn't realise who was standing behind me until he came to a complete stop. The hell are you doing? Nothing. He looked me over again. Anger? Frustration? It was hard to tell. Sit down and keep quiet. I didn't do as he said. He roughly grabbed me by the head and slammed me into the nearby machines. I was dazed and immediately collapsed onto the ground as he chuckled. Stay down, you know what's good for you. He wandered off in the direction that Jack had gone, chuckling to himself, holding something in his hand. I didn't know what it was, some sort of device, but I didn't get much more than that. I could smell blood, and bring my hand up to where I'd hit my head against the machine. I could feel wetness. It was my blood. I could figure that much out. Not that I was conscious for long enough to do anything about it. The lack of food, water, and good sleep was taking its toll. I just let myself take what excuse to sleep I could. When I woke up, I could feel the air choking me from heat and smoke. Like any other time, I was just along for the ride. My body ached, but I struggled to my feet. I was alive and seemed to be glad about it, but nothing about what was happening made sense. Where were the others? Why was the house on fire? My mind immediately went to Orlando, but I couldn't see him. Had someone else caused the fire? More importantly, why wasn't I moving? Instead, I seemed to start to cry, though the tears would evaporate soon after I left my eyes. Dave! I turned quickly, scanning the fire for Orlando's voice. This way, hurry! Coughing, I struggled to find where Tyson's voice was coming from, but I couldn't see him either. Oh, Dave! Come on, you can do it! Roswell and Dean had the same problem. I had no idea where they were. Leave, Dave! There you are. I said leave! Why was I looking for Thanatos? Why is he so intent on me leaving without him? The house was groaning around us. Pieces of the ceiling were falling away. It's now or never! I looked down to my legs, injured, burned, but I struggled towards the front door. I built up speed, and as the way out came into view, a searing pain sent me back into the darkness. I didn't know where I was, or if I made it out, just as the burning house was gone. I felt cold next. I could hear rain. Then that too stopped, replaced with the sound of someone snoring softly next to me and the TV playing in the same room. After that was the sound of someone happily humming, and the smell of fresh bread, the loud ambience that came with an arcade or maybe a bowling alley. Was I dying? Was this what I was experiencing in my final moments? As I came to, I was still on the ground where I'd landed after Memphis had shoved me. I felt gross. My head was hurting and the world was spinning. I reckon the boss made the right call. Dom's voice echoed out from somewhere far off. Or if it was nearby, I had no way of knowing. Not really. Dom, buddy, pal, friend. What were they talking about? Why was this so familiar? You can just say yes. He's about to say that he's bored. Like, I don't know, I don't care. I just want to know when we can get some action. I'm so bored. Always go say hello to your friend if he's conscious. Sure enough, Dom said it word for word. Soon after was Jack making some kind of creepy, happy sound that made me sick. A neat trick. My first drawn lens, I turned my head towards where the voice had come from. It was quiet, but somehow that just made it that much scarier. Are you listening on us? His voice was still kept low. When I didn't answer, he grabbed me by the collar and lifted me off my feet into the air. I asked you a fucking question. Yes. At least you have the common sense not to lie to me. Just as roughly as he grabbed me, he let me drop and crumple to my knees. Where is Oswin? I looked up at him, the first question I dared to pose. Late. I wanted to ask something else, but shut my mouth. He wasn't going to answer, or at the very least not like me asking. Given he let me lay here bleeding for who knows how long, I didn't want to risk getting injured further. Then he left, somewhere deep into the mill, and I felt like crying. Too scared to make a sound, though. I just fell to my side and lay there trembling. Where were my friends? Why hadn't anyone come for me yet? How long had it been? Hey Dave, you awake? I heard him but didn't react. My mind was elsewhere. Oh, you're no fun. You know, I was going to go make a snack. Figured I should check if you were hungry. The way he asked made it clear he was teasing or being sarcastic or some combination that wouldn't have ended up with me getting food regardless. My stomach betrayed me, the gurgle of hunger loud and clear if I hadn't said anything. The only thing I'd had to eat was jerky after all. Oh, I see. Well, you sit tight then, I'll be right back. He wandered off laughing to himself. Much like everything else, it echoed until he'd gone far enough away that it was just vague noise. And that was it. I didn't see him again for what appeared to be hours. I was starting to get thirsty, hungry, and sleepy all at once. But from how deep we were, I had no way of telling just how late it had gotten. It is your fault. I'm sorry, boss. That pig beat us here, there'll be hell to pay. Maybe they're still at the house. We'll send Jack on a run later, scope the place out. Not worried about Benson. About that. I had to guess he was thinking about something, though the sinister chuckle that came after meant it wasn't anything good. I don't think it'll be a problem. If he gets himself killed, it's his own fault. But boss thinks he can mess with me while he's bored and go make himself useful. Yeah, late, isn't it? You think I care? The silence said it all. If Jack died, Memphis didn't care. I thought the prospect of him dying would have made me happy. But instead, I just felt empty. It wouldn't change anything. I'd still be here. I'd still be left with the question why they left me here overnight. We wouldn't be off the mountain. It was made worse knowing I was so close to the exit. My stomach started to growl again. I just curled it tighter. Someone had to be coming soon. They had to be. If not, what was keeping Tyson or Dean? Why hadn't Orlando said anything to them? Was Roswell okay? Was Sal keeping the group together? Did Hoss have a plan on what to do? As I lay there, I felt myself start to sleep back into unconsciousness. Silently I laughed. Silently I cried. Until I passed out again. It wasn't restful sleep. Just the fact that my body was just that exhausted. I was even semi-aware of the grime I was laying in, but I'd long given up on being clean. I just didn't have the hope that I could avoid it anymore. Not from which I could feel my body throb in discomfort. When I next opened my eyes, things were quiet. My throat felt dry, my arms weak, and things were undoubtedly darker than I remembered. Hello? Someone moved nearby. I could hear them get up and start to walk towards me. Is someone there? It was hard to see if the bulk and shape was unmistakable. You came? He reached out for me and sat me up. The moment he opened his mouth, the moment I knew something was wrong. Drink this. Huh? I blinked and it was Dominic. What hope I'd clung to in these last few moments shattering. Come on, drink. He dipped the plastic bottle back and I drank. Water, thankfully, or at least it seemed to be. Can't have you dying on us. I wanted more, but he pulled the bottle away and put the cap back on it. What are you doing? making sure he doesn't die of thirst.
Does Memphis know about this?
Ross will thank me for not having to figure out what to do with an extra body.
Extra? You've been having fun without me?
Jack, now's not the time.
Oh, I think now's the perfect time.
I looked between all three of them, wondering what was going to happen next.
Get him up.
Dom hesitated, but Jack was upon me in a flash, dragging me up just enough so when Dominic finally took over, it was more to hold me upright. We walked back the way we'd come, up to where we'd come in, and then outside. The cold nipped my skin into my fur, but compared to the depths of the mill, the air was clean. I took in a deep breath, breathing out, hoping it'd clear my head.
So it turns out no one's coming for you, kid.
I paused, looking over to Memphis, worried. Maybe they just got out. Maybe they're fine, there's a reason they didn't come.
Fortunately for you, I don't like waiting.
Boss, we're going back to the cabin?
Oh, we are. Got everything I need back there now anyway. Well, come on, Dave. Let's get you locked back up.
I have a better idea, Jack.
We're going to let Dave here go. We're going to have him head on back to the mansion and see for himself what the hold-up is.
You are?
We are.
Well, and then what?
If he makes it back in, let the others know we're coming. Well, if he doesn't, well, that just suits me fine too.
Took a few steps towards me and I stumbled backwards, this time managing to stay on my feet.
I don't take any chances this time. It's about time something went my way, but I still want to have fun with it. What do you mean, boss?
Jack,
why don't you give Dave your little going-away present? And make it hurt.
I looked from Memphis to Jack, then to Dom, then to that grin on Jack's face.
Hold still, Dave. It's only take a second.
Before I'd even registered what was going on, Jack had stabbed me in the side. The knife went in fast and immediately I felt both cold and hot. The wind had been taken out of me until he'd taken the knife out.
Now run along, Dave. If you're lucky, you might make it back before you bleed out.
My vision started to blur. My hand went to my side to try and stop the bleeding. I had to get back. I had to seek medical attention. There's no sense in trying to get back into the mill and find a way out that way. At least outside I had the moonlight to help, or even the river. Inside it was darker and more dangerous to go wandering around in blind. As I wandered away to the woods, I could hear Memphis laughing. I could hear Jack cackling to himself alongside. Nothing from Dominic, but that hardly mattered. I just had to get help. Help. Everything looked the same. Everything was the same to me, given it was just tree after tree, step after step in a dark forest. Didn't even know which way was forward.
Help! Anyone?
There was no sense in keeping quiet anymore. I left those we knew were dangerous behind me. And every step I took just had to be close towards someone better. At least I hoped so. What time was it? What would my friends say once I got back? What was going to happen next? I just had to keep thinking things through, so I kept moving. I headed towards the sound of water, possibly because it was of thirst, maybe because it was just a landmark I'd used to try and navigate. Though even as the river came into view, the only thing I could register was the pain caused at my side. How much blood had I lost? How much more blood could I afford to lose? Breathing had started to become hard. I wasn't sure if the cold in my chest was from the night air or from my wound. Walking along the bank of the river, heading downstream, I thought back on my life. This vacation was the most recent event, the most recent development in my life that seemed to shape me in what I assumed would have been a great way. For everything bad that happened, a bunch of good happened too. Immediately the fact that Tyson found a friend and seemed to slowly become accepted into the group made me happy. I worried for him so long, but things seemed to be finally going well for him. As for Hoss, I'm glad that he was still fitting in. Being someone I'd only known for a year, and he was around a good person when I was with him. Then there was Dean and Orlando. So much of a mess I'd been in the past year and a half, they both done their best to constantly make me smile. Orlando especially has been trying for years. Not to say that Dean tried less, he just had a different method. All three of us had our troubles. The two of them made it feel normal. I thought back to Roswell and Sal. I felt I could trust both of them, just being wiser, or at the very least smarter than me. I had faith they'd do right by me if I ever got in trouble. Though given my current circumstances, I wish that something had just happened to prevent them from coming through with a rescue plan. Or if not a rescue plan, they had a contingency for me not being saved. Shaking my thoughts, I remembered where I was. Water. I just had to follow the water. If I did, I could probably find my way back to the mansion. I'd done it once before, after all. I can keep going. I have to keep going. Stopping and taking another deep breath of air, I continued on. A feeble whine escaped my mouth. I struggled to keep moving, half collapsing onto a tree for support as I continued on. As I continued on, I heard a voice calling for me, somewhere far off, but it was my name. I stopped if only to see if I could tell which direction it was coming from, but it was hard to say. It's even harder to pick out who the voice belonged to. They sounded worried. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a brief glimpse of something bright moving through the trees and thought it was Jack. When I focused, I knew it wasn't. Disappearing behind the trees, I started to follow where it went. The odor bearing I had given the river was all I had, and I knew it didn't run alongside the house. As I approached where I thought it would be, I was greeted with more darkness, at least the first couple of times. The last, however, I came to a stop in a small glade, with that figure standing there as if waiting for me. Hello? I became aware of how hard my heart was beating in my chest and how hard I was breathing. Dad? He turned to look at me, waiting for me to get closer, but said nothing. Dad, is it... I didn't have the strength to reach out and touch him, stopping just shy of being able to reach out. Hey, Sport. What's happening? Why are you here? You needed me. Oh, you're looking a bit rough there, buddy. What happened? He chuckled, though I could hear the worry. He still hadn't moved, and so I didn't either, just in case. A lot. I can see that. I need to get back to the mansion. I need help. I'm... bleeding? Yeah. Well, better follow me then. He faded away, dissolving into the dark under he appears somewhere further on as if waiting for me to follow. It's like this most of the way forward, up until I stopped to catch my breath again. Dad, wait. I can't go that fast. Sure you can. He called back, but his voice was somewhere else far off instead. If he thought I could, then I would at least try. I had to try. Dad? What's the matter, Sport? I'm sorry. What for? I'm sorry for not being a better son, for... I flinched as he reached out to touch me. The contact never came. Instead, he just pulled his hand back and shook his head. Don't go thinking you're a failure as a son, Dave. You died because of me. I'm saving you. It's the same thing. It is not the same thing. I made this choice and make it again. When I found out you were going to die, I was given the choice to save you, and I took it. But you died. Is that so bad? I was devastated. Mom still hasn't recovered. I doubt I have either. I was building myself up to yell him. The more I did, it hurt. My throat dry. I just... Why didn't you say anything? What have you wanted me to say, Dave? What have you wanted me to say to your mother? Just... You left almost without saying goodbye. You left as if it was any other day with me and Tyson just waiting for you to come home. And you never did. He disappeared again. Was I hallucinating, or was it actually him? A ghost, maybe. At the very least, I saw him appear somewhere further on as if guiding me forward. Dad. He didn't stop, but I was getting frustrated. Just as well as keeping my focus off the pain and the tiredness. Dad, wait. But he didn't, instead just walking forward. I have something I need to tell you. He stopped, so he turned around to face me and waited for me to catch up. What's up, son? I have a boyfriend. Well, that's great, son. If I don't make it, you need to tell them. Well, I don't tell him anything, Dave. You'll have to tell him yourself. In fact, introduce me after you do. And he was gone again, leaving me to pick up pace in order to get back to my friends. My head hurt. My feet hurt. Everything hurt. I found myself braced against one of the trees. I breathed in deep. I can keep going. Just a little bit further. There's a light haze to the woods now. Wasn't sure if that was because it was getting closer to morning or lights from the house, but I was willing to take it as a sign. Dad, we're close. I just decided this. Maybe if I didn't just hope, then maybe it'd come true.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh, can you smell that?
I couldn't smell much of anything from having spent the past day between a dusty cabin in a cellar surrounded by rusty metal.
Oh, smells like home.
Home? Like our home?
Yeah.
That's impossible. We're not at home. We're on a mountain.
Well, maybe someone else's home then?
Dad, you know where we are.
The mansion.
Yeah.
Dave, do you understand what's happening right now?
I didn't know. I had some ideas and some hopes. Then with that, worries. I wasn't certain.
I'm not here, buddy.
I know. You died.
I died.
You died a long time ago.
Well, not that long ago, but yes, you're pretty sure I'm dead.
Why are you showing up now? Am I going insane?
Oh, it's a little bit like peanut butter, son.
Huh?
Nutty.
I cracked a smile. Then the smile became a chuckle and a full-blown laugh.
That joke was real bad. Well, you came up with it.
Maybe I'm more like you than I thought.
I couldn't be prouder.
One last smiley faded away, leaving me in the quiet of the forest. Having followed for so long, I was left without anything to guide me forward. I stood there in the dark, staring at the spot where my dad had been only moments before. He was gone. I just wanted to say goodbye. I wanted to smile at the irony of me forgetting to do it a second time, but I couldn't. I wanted to keep walking forward, but I couldn't. My feet wouldn't move. At least I was upright. Is there anyone there? Silence. That's all that came back as the answer. Okay. I needed to sit down. The tiredness and the loss of blood was too much. I just needed to rest. Well, I needed to get back, but I wanted to rest. Reaching into my pocket, I pulled out the photo again. I love you. The words weren't for me, they were what I wanted to hear. They were what I wanted to say. I love you so much. My breath got in my chest and I started to cry. I didn't bother to wipe them away. Instead, thinking about my friends, my family, anyone and everyone important to me. I knew what was coming, and while I wasn't ready, I had accepted it. I sat there waiting. Any moment now, something would happen. I'd either slip away or something else would happen to make me question if I hadn't already passed on. Huh?
Dave.
He reached out for me and edged forward as if he was scared I'd break. I could see it in his eyes, even in the dark, that he was terrified. I'm okay.
No, you're not.
I'll be fine. Really. I tried to flash him a smile, but it didn't come. Instead, just a pain grimace that caused him to reach out and cut my head. I could feel him. He was warm, even against the bitter cold of the night.
Can you stand?
Shaking my head, carefully he picked me up. It only made me cry and cling on tight, having felt I'd finally been saved. Warm. He was warm.
I thought I wouldn't find you.
But you did.
Yeah.
He had me against his back and carried me. Each step careful, but at the same time I could tell he was trying to hurry. Are we going back to the mansion?
Yeah, just keep talking to me.
What about?
Or anything. Please, Dave, just keep talking. Tell me about your boyfriend. His name is Dean. He's a bear. What else? He's a bit flirty, but he means well. Sort of like you. He scoffed and I could feel him shake his head. Are you sure about that? I think so. He's handsome, warm and kind. I think I love him. Did you tell him that? Maybe not enough. You have to do that when he gets back then. He isn't back already. What do you mean? He went out looking for you. But he didn't find me. You did. I did, yeah. Maybe I just know you better. I went to laugh and instead groaned in pain. Am I moving too fast? Maybe a little. Just set me down, please. I need a break. He set me down gently and laid me back against a tree. The moment I could feel the ground under me, I sighed and looked up at my dad. Thanks for coming to save me. I can't leave you out there, Dave. Still, I never thought I'd see you again. It's, Reading was becoming more difficult and I reached out for him. Funny. Dave. I'm just so glad that you came, Dad. He said nothing, but I could tell his expression went grim. Dad? Dave, What? I'm not Dad. What? My eyes slowly adjusted and I saw Tyson. He was crying. He was... Dave, I'm here. Ty. I couldn't leave out there. I couldn't just wait. Yeah, thank you, Ty. Just hold on so long, alright? We're almost back. Ty, I saw Dad. I thought he was... I know, Dave. It's alright. I'm sorry. Why the fuck are you apologizing? I'm sorry I didn't find you sooner. I'm just happy that... What? I didn't get left behind. Well, I'll never leave you behind. Not now, not before never. You save me from the coals, I can do the same. Oh, fuck what Oswin said. Fuck what anyone else said. I love you that damn much. Yay. So I'm gonna pick you up and take you back to the mansion, alright? I'm gonna patch you up and get you home, okay? Okay. But don't you dare give up just yet. Now is not the time to be giving up, Dave. Ty. Just a little longer, Dave. That's all we need. Please. Dave?
He'll be back soon.
Easy for you to say. Both of them went in there. We've not seen neither. It's not like you're not even worried.
Of course I'm worried. There's nothing more we can do, is there?
We could go in ourselves. Dave is out there. We're just meant to sit and wait. That's why Dean and Tyson went out.
It's why Dean went out. Tyson just went out on his own because he's stubborn.
But he was right.
I...
Go on, say I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. But I didn't want to run the risk of getting hurt, knowing that upset Dave even more.
But...
No buts. We just have to have faith that we'll see one of them soon.
Have we heard nothing from Hoss Benson or Oswin?
Not since you asked me 5 minutes ago.
But something could have changed.
And go inside and find out. I imagine they're still going over a plan to get everyone out safely.
But we know the exit.
And what about Oswin? We just leave him behind and make Benson sad?
Yes.
Orlando.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
Before you know it, we'll have news. Wait, did you hear that?
Is it Dean Tyson?
I'm not. Oh. Oh, no.
No. No, this can't be happening. No. No.
I tried. Really tried.
What it's worth, I'm sorry, I'll take full responsibility, but I had to see. I underestimated. What I mean is, I can't believe it's over though. The experiment failed. It's my fault. Hopefully next time will be better. Not that it helps now. It's never easy though. It's never easy to have to tell you that I failed, and the countless amount of years ahead of me for another attempt, feeling I've let you down. Sometimes I wonder if it's been worth it, seeing you like this. Sometimes I wonder if there wasn't an easy way out, but yet again we're just left with this. Not that you can remember it as well as I can. Please, say something. Anything. Is there anything I can say to or do, or is it better that I just... Sorry. Just promise me on the next time around you won't remember this. Promise me you'll leave it to me to stop his mistake from happening twice. Is that okay, Master? Okay.